That was a really nice introduction, so I should bring it down now and say it failed, you got nothing to see. But I think with enough time and a bit more research, we could probably still pull this off. So I think there's still some value in presenting the idea. Initially, at our first meeting when they first got the software guys and the hardware guys together, everyone was sort of showcasing what they had done. And Alex, that I partnered with, showed a video of magnetic levitation, which really kind of captured my imagination. So I thought, a lot of games are played on a grid. What if we get a grid of these so we could have all these sort of floating game pieces, and then to sort of take it a bit further below to have sort of a digital screen. So the game itself would sort of cross the barrier between the digital world and the real world. For example, you would have the game pieces sort of floating there that could also be represented on the digital screen, and you could have other gameplay environments on that screen that are sort of affecting sort of the real world game pieces. So that was sort of the idea that we tried to go for. Now this is sort of a fly-through of my kind of blue sky, what it could be, but we kept having to scale back on the idea, and like I said, got nothing. But like I say, it's always nice to dream big, and why not try for it? Sorry about the boring wall of text. Actually, I think it probably covered most of this already, so... Actually, the end thing I would like to cover is that once the hardware was built, I think you could actually build a lot of games for it. So the end goal idea was to sort of build an API that anyone could sort of write games for, and I could kind of picture this device being in a bar, beside the air hockey table or that type of thing. But so who knows? And got a few pictures from the construction process. I went to Toys R Us and do you have Tinker Toys? And they're like, no, we don't carry those anymore. And I was crushed and I felt old. But they had Kinects, and all the younger people showed through, they're like, wow, Kinects. And then I really felt old. But it was actually a good setup because I had variable, we got a lot of questions that we had to kind of figure out along the way, like how close together should the magnets be, and just with this interlocking system with different lengths, we could experiment with all that ahead of time. And the last picture, you can see we've got an electromagnet going easily, but the electromagnetic levitation, not so easy. There's a little video of it not working.
Not levitation yet, but it's moving. It's doing something.
Yeah, and another wall of text, but I think I covered it all already, so let's open it up to questions.
I know you obviously were aiming big. One of your slides indicated, you had big dreams and faced some pretty serious constraints around hardware.
And those
time,
of us who played time.
Sorry?
And time, don't forget time.
And time, don't ever forget time, no. Those of us who play in hardware, I think all love the magic of magnetic forces and fields. The invisibility, the power, the potential in there is truly huge. I think it's also it's an incredible minefield of challenges, which you've discovered. You've sort of alluded to your process and your exploration. Can you talk about how was that creatively? As you start with this big vision, you start pulling together pieces of hardware. You've been to Toys R Us. You're back now in the studio trying to figure out what is the next step. You obviously didn't give up, right? And you're still trying to find sort of the place and the possibilities of this. Can you just talk a little bit about what your team's process was? How do you navigate all of those iterations and different possibilities when you're facing challenges that aren't resolving for you?
One of the nice things was I clicked with Alex right away. We're kind of both same laid-back personality, but he is really more of a hardware guy. I've been programming since I was 11 years old. It's ingrained into my personality, but I've never actually explored the hardware or electronic side. So that's one of the things I really loved and appreciated about being involved in this, was because it was a whole new world for me. And on the flip side, Alex could code a little bit. He was more into grabbing snippets of code off the net and kind of putting things together. So I think it was a nice combination. in some ways I was driving it, so I would say, what can you do? And, whether he would say, yeah, I think I can do that and give it a try, or no, I can't do that. And we'd try something else.
Right. So do you see hardware still in your future?
Especially with the Arduino, I didn't even know this thing existed before. So, I mean, this, like I said, is a whole new world for me, and I'm definitely going to keep playing with it. I was also really impressed with the processing language. I'd never heard of it before, but it was when I was trying to figure out, I knew I wanted the display screen. So I was trying to think, how do I get these pieces to talk to each other? And then I discovered processing, and then this is exactly what I needed. So that's a great tool. If you are into this, you should definitely look into the language.
Fantastic. Can I just ask the audience a question really quickly? If you can just give us a show of hands. I'm just sort of curious because a number of these projects have Arduinos embedded in them. A number of artists who hack with electronics and making work with Arduino and processing. How many of you know what an Arduino is? Just out of curiosity. All right, the whole room just put up their hands. So then we don't need to actually go back half a step and describe that for you. I was just curious to know where everybody's hardware hacking audience. So how many of you make games?
I like to see that.
Wow, we're in a room where more people know what an Arduino is than make games. That's sort of an interesting moment for me as a hardware hacker who's spent a lot of time being told I was the peripheral. It's sort of a cool moment. Okay, Steve Hill, thank you very much.
Thank you.